So we're back. We've got it here in the garage, and to keep it cheap, we really got to figure out what it needs, where we're at. Like I've mentioned in the first video, we've bought 2 Cherokees. We've kind of started out a process. I've built the whole project, the whole Jeep in my head a little bit already, and where I want to go with it, how I'm going to do each little piece. But now that it's here in the garage, I wanted to kind of start at the front and work all the way to the back, seeing what truly is wrong with it, what we need to do, and then talk a little bit about how I'm going to do this with little to no money. Right now, I've got it here. I've done a little bit of work already on it, and I'm sitting at about an $800 positive. I haven't even spent all of the money from those motorcycles from the motorcycle that I sold originally. So let's go through this a little bit. As a recap, we started with a 1977 Yamaha XS650. That turned into 2 Jeep Cherokees, a red and a white one. The red one was the donor for this Commando project. The white one was one that we just redid and got running in a previous video, and then that has now been sold on to the next owner. With that, we've been able to transform this project and fund it completely on its own, just using that 1977 Yamaha XS650. As with any good project, we have to get started with a checklist. And to make that checklist, I'm gonna go ahead and start at the front and work my way all the way to the back of this Jeep, figuring out what all needs to be done. I'll talk through a little bit of my design and my thought process of where I want to go with this particular build. So starting here at the front, the grill's seen some better days. It's got a little bit of broken headlight bezels, some pieces back behind here. A bunch of the bolts don't line up quite right. If we go down here, all of this has been cut off. It broke. So where the original bumper would bolt onto, that's been cut off. It's no good. And so what I'm planning to do is run a tubular bumper all the way from here over here. I'm gonna mount a winch hidden behind the grill here. So right behind the grill, there's gonna be a nice hidden winch that'll tie into the tube bumper and run out to the front. All of this I have, and so I don't really have to worry too much about that. And as far as purchasing, I have some tube, I have everything I need for this piece. Moving up to the top, it looks like I'm gonna have to get really good at my rust repair. So got some rust here on the hood, a little bit on the fenders. As we move over here, you can see where previous owner had bondoed. There used to be a turn signal light here they bondoed in, and that's really bad. So we're gonna have to get all of that gone back in here. This is all bent up. With that, my idea is I'm gonna run some tubular bumpers that'll come up and over and kind of follow the stock lines that the Commando originally would have had, and that'll really complete it out. These are some pretty small tires, so I'm gonna be running some 35-inch 12.5, 15 mud tires, get it bigger, aggressive, so the tire will come out a little bit further than these currently sit. Originally too, if you remember, when I pulled it in, there was nothing here. And so we'll cut a little bit to a clip there of that showing the emptiness and the blank canvas I started with. Moving back a little bit from the front end with all the work that's needed here, there's obviously gonna be some body work that needs to be done at some point, a little bit of Bondo and just big dents here. I don't have a fresh air cowl cover. I don't have windshield wipers, which might be important, although they suck horribly bad. Anyway, so I'm gonna think about switching those out a little bit. I did save the windshield wiper arms and mechanism from the Cherokee, and hopefully maybe I'll be able to reuse it. We'll see. Down here, we have the rockers that have already been cut out. This side has already been replaced with a nice 3x2 1/4-inch wall steel tubing. With that, I'll probably end up running out some rock rails, build it out a little bit, create a little bit of a step, a little bit more rigidity to it. The other side doesn't have that yet, so this will end up being replicated on that other side as well. Moving into the inside a little bit here, there's some holes from the old mirror that I'm gonna have to patch up. Everything in here works. I did keep the lock cylinder from the Cherokee as well, so I'm hoping to get to take this and then replace it with the Cherokee lock cylinder, so then I'll be able to use the same key for both doors and the ignition, which will be really nice. That's one thing with my 69, I've never been able to lock it up, and that's kind of annoying to me. And with this, I really want to make sure that it's friendly. I can take it on long road trips. If I put a hard top on it with the glass, everything's going to be good to go. So I do have those, and then the door opens, looky there. And then if we look here, the window does work. Super nice, obviously, which that is one thing I forgot too. This is just fiberglass here, so it's gonna need glass at some point. I'm gonna have to do something. I completely forgot about that, but neither here nor there. I'll find something. all of this works. There's currently no dashboard. It's sitting over there is wall art. The holes in the floor all rusted through. This side has been completely cut out. That other side needs to be cut out and replaced. No dash, no windshield motor wires, no wiring, no sun visors. I do have those. That's pretty much it. Under here, there's nothing there either, just like everywhere else. So we're gonna be reusing the Cherokee steering column, Cherokee gas pedal. I'm gonna graft the Cherokee firewall onto that firewall of the Commando so that all the holes look nice, original, factory. I can reuse the brackets, reuse the steering column, reuse all the pieces and components. And then on the passenger side, I'm also gonna regraft the firewall so I can reuse the stock Cherokee heater box and AC and all of that. So this thing will have heat, it'll have AC, it'll have all the nice creature comforts. And also, if it ever goes bad, it'll be really easy to replace. We'll be able to just go to the parts store, say I need a 2000 Jeep Cherokee heater box, and we'll be able to fix it and get it on its way. Also in here, this came with no seats. Obviously there's no interior here. So what I did is I picked up actually the second and third row seats from a Mazda 5 minivan that I'm gonna end up using. I picked up the two captain seats, and then I picked up the third row seat. There is one problem with the third row seat from the minivan, which would be the back seat for this, is that it's about 2 inches wider than the stock wheel well openings. And so with that, I'm gonna end up just cutting it, widening it, and then I sit down the seat. The nice part with that will be, is it does have this car seat tethers. It's a little bit more modern for a seat, so it'd be more family friendly, things of that nature. It was nice, it was new to me. For 40 bucks, I got 3 seats, which is way cheaper than anything I find on Facebook Marketplace, or brand new on obviously as well. So going to the junkyard on a Saturday, I picked up all 3 of these seats, 40 bucks. I would say that was a win. The other really cool thing that got me most excited about these seats, so there's a gentleman running these at the 55th Jeep Commando event earlier last year now, where we got a bunch of these Jeepsters together, and he showed me that he had these seats, and what's really cool with them is that when I open them, ooh, that's gross. I'm gonna have to clean that out. But in here, there's built-in storage, which is super nice. If you're familiar with these types of Jeeps, the old Jeeps, I mean, anything like that, there's not a whole lot of space, and so this is gonna be really nice to have to store recovery gear, extra things of that nature. So that's really what sold me on these. You might notice one thing that's a little bit different from when we loaded it on the trailer. There's no top on this anymore. Driving home, I drove it all the way home, made it home, ran some errands the next day with the Jeep on the trailer, and the ratchet strap holding it down decided to leave the chat. It ripped some bolts off of the windshield frame, so I'm gonna have to do some fixing on the windshield frame. I'm gonna have to figure out a situation with a new top. I do have some leads and some ideas, but just thought everyone might like to know just the other piece that's probably the bigger piece of what I'm going to have to find in a new top. To be continued. Moving to the back. Back here, it's super simple. There's not much going on. There's a little bit of rust down here. I'm going to go through and see how much is really bad, how much isn't. As mentioned earlier, I'm going to end up cutting about 2 inches off of each side so that rear seat will fit back here nice, and it shouldn't be any problem with the wider axle. Using those Cherokee axles, it did make it a little bit wider. Some other just like miscellaneous tips and tricks for any of you Jeepster owners out there. These hinges are notorious for popping open and close, and so the best way to fix that is just drill a little hole through here, drop a pin in, and then that keeps it actually closed and secure. Again, just a little bit more rust back here. If I move back to the tailgate, lots of rust. That's super common down in here. I also need some taillight lenses, which I think I have some spare used ones that are over there that'll be fine for this project, at least phase 1. Also need a rear bumper. And with the rear bumper, I've been torn back and forth between using the one off my yellow Jeepster or building out a new tubular bumper to match the front. I'm really thinking though, I'll probably end up just using the one off my yellow one because I've been wanting to get rid of that. On the yellow one, I carry a patch kit with me, an air compressor, everything I need to fix a tire for that one. And 2, it usually gets trailered to any of the off-road parks, and so I can just carry my spare tire on the trailer, not have to worry about it, reduce a bunch of weight out of the back, and when I'm putting around town, I don't have this big tire obscuring my view. And so I think that bumper's gonna get put on here. Underneath, There's absolutely nothing under here, so I need to do a gas tank. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do yet. I have a few options, doing some wheeling and dealing with my brother because he's got a big aero tank, which is really nice. Then maybe I'll steal the one off mine. I've got a few ideas. I haven't really decided, but needs a gas tank. Rear axle's already under here. Hopefully you saw that in the last video, last two videos, us getting this axle ready, getting it put under here, and then using it to get it into the garage. So front to back, I think that's pretty much where we're at. We'll also end up needing drive shafts. There's a bunch of other miscellaneous things that we're gonna need, but for the most part, that's a front to back view of what kind of shape this thing's in. If you've made it this far in the video, that means you might care about what we're doing. The next two videos, I'm gonna be covering suspension design and drivetrain selection. And if there's anything that you're curious about or you would like for me to cover, please comment below what you want to see. I've filmed a lot of it already. It's obviously sitting on its own weight. A lot of it's been done and I have a lot of it filmed, but if there's aspects that you want to make sure I cover, I don't know how much you guys really want to see between me cutting and grinding and fabricating versus the actual design of it, or just the finished product with me pointing and showing you what I've done, showing some of the hurdles I had to overcome, some of the things that needed to be corrected. I don't really know what you want to see, and so if you could comment below what you want me to cover in the videos regarding drivetrain selection and suspension, that would be amazing. Just a little bit of a hint, I have done something that rhymes with, does anything rhyme with 3? T-Slink. It's a 3-link suspension in the front. So just so you know, that's what we're doing up front, but I'll talk about the design. I'll talk about whatever you guys comment below. In the rear, it is leaf sprung. You guys have seen that hopefully in the last 2 videos, but if there's anything additional that you want me to cover on the rear suspension design, I can do that. And then the drivetrain selection, obviously there's a little bit there is a giveaway of using a Cherokee, but there's some other really cool tips and tricks I'm gonna cover on how I got it mounted. Until next time.